Noff Glibber, hi friends. Darth Momo here. Today we're going to talk about the third episode of the first season of The Acolyte. I don't remember off the top of my head what it was called. I just looked it up in Wikipedia, said Destiny, but the previous episodes had two words and a slash, so I don't know if that's it or not, but regardless, we're talking about the third episode, which was pretty much entirely a flashback episode, pretty much explaining what went down with May and Osha when they were kids, where they came from, and how the Jedi got involved and picked up Osha. So basically, Osha and May are these kids on this planet with a bunch of witches. They're not Night Sisters, but I'm guessing it's something similar. They mentioned at one point that they were exiled, so I don't know if they were Night Sisters that got exiled, or I know the High Republic book lore has a lot of different like small force group type users, so I don't know if they're just new or whatnot. Maybe we'll find out someday, maybe we won't, but essentially they're from a coven of witches. They're about to pretty much take their initiatory, and Osha doesn't want to do it. Turns out the Jedi have been spying on them, these 4 Jedi that are being hunted, and Osha decides that she wants to be a Jedi. The Jedi kind of interrupt the initiatory, so May gets initiated. Osha does not. The Jedi want to test the kids. The Jedi test them. Osha, the kids were instructed by the witch leader to lie so that they would fail the Jedi test, but Osha decides to take the test seriously. She passes. She says she wants to become a Jedi. May is mad about that and says, no, if I can't have you, I'm going to burn this all to the ground. And she starts a fire. Then all the witches are dead, and the Jedi soul rescues Osha, and then they take her back to Coruscant. And then the episode ends with May in Osha's hiding spot, seeing that Osha's not there, and basically like, what happened? Where are you? So here are my thoughts on the episode. First off, I want to address the leaks, because I remember seeing that there were supposed to be a lot of leaks that said this was going to break Star Wars, this was going to be bad. I didn't think it broke Star Wars. Was it amazing? No, I mean, I enjoyed the episode. I'd still probably give it a 7 out of 10. The things that it said were going to be introduced, not all of that happened, at least that I caught. And then the few that they weren't like awful like I thought they were going to be, but I'll address that in a second. As for the Jedi characters, Kalnaka seems kind of cool, but this episode kind of is making me start to like Soul. Not that I hated him or anything before, but I already kind of liked him a little bit, but I'm kind of liking him more after this episode. As for the fire, though, May starts a fire in Osha's room, and suddenly, then like a minute later, there's a fire starting to burn apart the entire like witch coven, and all the witches are dead. So we know from the second episode that one Jedi who kills himself is pretty much like, no, I'm going to kill myself before I confess to what happened, because he's so guilt-racked behind that. It's something like that. I botched saying that. But so part of me is wondering if maybe the Jedi killed the witches, if they used the fire to start it, because May doesn't seem worried about the fire. She starts the fire in the door, but then she's like, whatever, I'll snide and prideful about it. But then with everything else falling apart, she's like freaking out about it. She still kind of blames May, saying, you caused all this. This is all your fault. But that could easily be swung to like, hey, you let the Jedi get in here. The Jedi did this. So, and when Soul's giving Osha like a consoling, trying to console her and giving her a hug at the end of the episode, he looks like he's guilty. Like he feels like something bad just went down. So I almost wonder if maybe the Jedi caused this, trying to like kill off the witches, because they feel that the witches were basically breaking the law, trying to train these kids and whatever. So that's my guess on what's going on. I'm guessing the Jedi try to like basically kill the witches, they made the first move feeling that the witches were in the wrong, and they killed all the witches, and it just happened to coincide with the fire that May started, and they used that. I don't know. I'm guessing it's a bit more nuanced than that, or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe just May started a fire and it's as simple as that. I'm guessing we'll find out as the episodes go on, but since the one Jedi killed himself, I'm guessing that there's something going on here that the Jedi are guilty of. As for the whole Force creation, it's kind of implied, and I'd be a little confused if I hadn't read some of the leaks. But basically, what I remember reading from the leaks was the idea that basically, like, the same thing that happened to Anakin, like the Force conceived Anakin. Basically, these witches like used the Force to conceive these twins, similar to how in the Legends era, Palpatine and Plagueis were like messing around with the midi-chlorians, and that caused the Force to create Anakin. I'm not too familiar with that. It's been a long time since I've read that book. So, as for my thoughts here, look, I'm not a big fan of the idea of putting all this woke stuff in Star Wars, right? You know, I know people are going to say, and myself have said, yeah, Star Wars has always been political, but I think George was more so political when it came to governmental policies and philosophies as opposed to identity politics and social politics. I think George was more so about government politics. I know it's a very nuanced subject, but as for like how they went about it, they could have done it a lot worse than they did. So look, I don't agree with it, but I think it could have, if they were really like putting politics forth, right, like I think they could have done a lot worse with it, and they could have made it a lot more hammered in and fisting it in our faces, right? But I could almost say, like, because these, I mean, that's who the witches are. Like, we see that in the Clone Wars. They're pretty much like all these, these women, right? So they ran with that. So to me, the idea that these two women like tried to use the Force to conceive these kids, like, to me, that's not that far-fetched. To me, that falls more in line with the story than just pandering. I know pandering's probably part of it. I'm not gonna deny that. But I don't think it's just pandering. I think there's still a story there being told. And I think it works with the story too. It's not like they're just hammering it in there, the shoving in there. Like, it's working with the story they're building off of. Look, do I like the idea that they're these two women are force conceiving? I mean, I guess theoretically could it work? It's already been done before, like I said, with Anakin and Palpatine and Plagueis. Do I like the idea that they're doing it here in this show? Not entirely, because I don't like... I think it did... First off, yeah, obviously it's got these two women basically conceiving a baby together. That's not how that works. I mean, I know they're perverting the Force to do it, but also too, like, I think it detracts from the uniqueness of Anakin. The idea that like this happened is like, whoa, Anakin was conceived without a father. Like, that was supposed to be like a what the heck kind of thing, and another sign that, hey, Anakin's the chosen one. Obviously, like, there's got to have been a purpose behind it. I'm not sure if we're going to explore that further or not. So I guess depending on the reason why these two kids were conceived and whatnot, like, I don't know, maybe I'd like the idea a bit more. But to say that ruins Star Wars, or that this is like basically pulling Star Wars off the life support plug and that this was awful and ruins the universe, I'm not seeing that. Is a story decision I like? Not really. Would I prefer they done something differently? Yeah, I would have. But to say that it ruins the universe, come on, guys. There's been worse stuff in Star Wars than this. You don't have to like this, but there's worse stuff in Star Wars than this. Which is a shame, because that's probably the only thing I'm iffy on is the wokeness, I guess you could say. But other than that, like, I'm starting to enjoy the show a bit more. I still say it's pretty much a solid 7 out of 10, all 3 of these episodes. I like this one the most out of the 3 that we've seen. It's not a deal breaker for me. It's not enough to be like, oh, this is bad, this is ruined Star Wars. I'm gonna keep watching. It's not giving me that sign. Like I said, I'm enjoying it. That being said, I still don't like the pandering and the wokeness. I'll be upfront about that, but I don't think this ruins Star Wars. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. But anyway, those are my thoughts on the episode. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you like it, if you don't like it, just let's be respectful about it. It's completely okay if you don't like it, if you don't agree with the direction of the franchise, and it's okay if you like this. And it's okay if you're somewhere in between, but let's just be respectful with one another. And if you don't like it, you don't like it. And if you like it, you like it. It is what it is. Make your opinions known respectfully. Thank you guys for joining in. Darth Momo out, and may the Force be with you. Always. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel. If you liked the video, comment down below and hit that like button. Oh, and check out some of my other videos. I'm sure you'll find them delight.